Hi and welcome to this week's FridAI with me, Billy McLaughlin, where I cut through the fuss and get to the facts on the big bad world of AI and what the news means for our industry as accountants, bookkeepers and finance professionals. Starting off with Lovable, which is the AI coding startup. You might have heard of this. It's only been around for a year. They already have 8 million users and $100 million in annual recurring revenue. What's even more fascinating is that they've just announced that people are building up to 100,000 new apps on their system every single day. 100,000 every single day are being built on the platform. So the idea of this is that you can essentially create things that traditionally you would need to code with, you no longer have to, and it's making it much more accessible. Something to bear in mind as accountants is that our clients are going to be trying this out, and so our kind of key giveaway, our USP, needs to be the insights we provide and not the data entry and the processes behind it. Similarly, if you have people in your team that want to give this a go, you might think, right, we've got some processes that we need to automate, we need to create, use Lovable to try it and let me know what you think. A much longer intro than usual because I also want to mention Tinder, who are creating something called chemistry. This means that they have artificial intelligence that can actually look into your photo album, with your permission, of course, and it can identify kind of what are your interests, what are the things that you actually like to do instead of the whole, I'm going to walk on a Sunday morning. It's going to actually have a look and see what things you're interested in and be able to pair you with people with similar sort of interests. This is not really relevant to the accountancy profession. We're talking about Tinder here, but it does give us a bit of a nod into the direction this is going, because if apps like dating sites are going to be accessing deeper information, financial institutions and bookkeeping software and anything that can, I guess, create that story around financials for our clients' businesses are surely going to be heading in the same direction. Starting off with a new kid on the block, and that is Record OS. These guys are using artificial intelligence to create working papers specifically for self-assessment tax returns, which I'm not sure if you're aware, it's pretty good timing for MTD. So what they're going to do is pull data through such as P60s, P45s, using OCR, pull it into a working paper and help kind of that chaos around spreadsheets and emails around tax return season. However, having said that, they are currently in beta and not officially launching until February 2026, which in my opinion could be a little too close to D-Day, with MTD kind of taking full effect in April 2026. But if you haven't picked a solution yet and you do want to check these guys out, I do think they're going to be doing quite a lot in terms of streamlining that tax workflow. They seem to understand what it is that we need in our profession, but go and check them out. Get on the waiting list and let me know what you think. That's Record OS. Talking about self-assessment, Party Pro, an app that I spoke about quite a long time ago, they've just announced a new feature called the Bulk Extractor. So this bulk doc extractor means that what you can do is you can put a bit of context in about your client if you want to, but then throw in all the documents. Artificial intelligence will analyze them, pull out the information it needs to, organize them, and essentially save you the time in that area. Now, what it will do is it'll extract it from documents such as rental statements, and then with one click, it will feed it into the tax return, which I think is great. And then one click from there, you can send it to your client for approval. They've actually said that this means you can do a tax return in under 30 minutes because you're not doing the copy and paste. And also it means that it's going to reduce errors. So again, more MTD solutions ready for the self-assessment onslaught that we're all going to face. Do look for a Party Pro in that software mix. Next up might not be so accounting specific, but trust me, a lot of accountants and bookkeepers are using Scribe. Scribe have just been valued at $1.3 billion, which is amazing because they've not really been around for that long. But what they do is they create really great systems and processes. You record what you're doing. So if you're doing anything with client tutorials, you've got remote teams, you've got new trainees that you're onboarding or new members of the team, offshoring, outsourcing, you need to be using Scribe. And if you're not, you are missing a big trick. They have just announced that they're creating a new feature which will identify workflows that you can use Scribe in. So if you've looked at it and thought, bit of a mental block, don't really know what I would record, what I need to document, Scribe are going to be able to identify that from your workflows. Also, just to sprinkle a little something extra onto that, just think, if you are going to be automating, don't document an inefficient process, because all you're going to be doing is scaling that inefficiency. So make sure you've got that process nailed down before you try and document it and send it across your team. So automate as much as possible before you go into that next step. If you're not using it, I promise you your competitors are. So have a go, and again, get in touch. Let me know what processes you're using it on. So we love some news from the Big Four, and KPMG have announced just in the last couple of weeks that they're going to be measuring AI metrics in their performance reviews. Now, initially when I read this, I thought they meant they were going to be using AI to do performance reviews or to analyze the meaning behind them. But actually, no, what they're going to be doing is asking the team, how have you used AI and what have you used it for, and how could you do better, essentially? So this could be, say, for example, they're giving someone a Microsoft Copilot license. How have you used that and how could you have done better? I actually really love this, because what we'll be doing is measuring results and proper metrics rather than just usage, because you can use it all day long and not actually be more efficient, which is probably a worry that Big Four like KPMG have when they're spending so much money on it. Now, what I would say is, if you are recruiting, this could be a really great question to ask people. And if you are being recruited and going for a job interview, be mindful that this could be a question that you get asked. A few ideas to give you in case you are thinking about doing this within your practice. So it could be, where have you saved time? Where have you reduced errors? Where have you increased client satisfaction? All using artificial intelligence, and see what your team bring back. Now, with this all being quite new, people still being fearful, don't go all in and put this in the performance review. But maybe this could be something that you talk about on your next team day or next team training. And finally, Vinyl. I know you'll be thinking you talk about them all the time, but these guys are making moves. So Vinyl is the AI note taker specifically for accountants. So it feeds into your practice management software. Don't forget Carbon Zero, FYI. If you're using any of those, it will feed it in to those apps, which is great. But the thing I get asked most by accountants is, what do we do about in-person meetings? It's all well and good being on a computer, but what do we do when we're meeting a client face-to-face? Well, Vinyl have got the solution. They've now announced their app is live, and that's on iOS and Android. So don't worry if you're a Google or an Apple user, you can use this. And just a little bit of insider information for you. They've also created something called Voice Print. Really cool name, because it's a little bit like a fingerprint. So it can identify the sort of like unique tones and characteristics of somebody's voice and know exactly who's speaking. So with online meetings, it's obvious which device it comes from, so they can say speaker one, speaker two. But actually with Voice Print, it's going to be able to identify, even in in-person meetings, who has said what. So if you're not a Vinyl user yet, you are absolutely missing a trick. And I think they've still got some announcements to make before the end of the year. So I apologise in advance, because they probably will get another mention. Anyway, that is everything from me this week on FridAI. I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, please do send me any news that you think I should be covering and anything exciting that you have tried this week. I'll see you all next week.